Toyota just lost a court case over more than 250,000 utes. There's a brand new ute you can buy today whose maker went bankrupt and had to change its name. And there's one on this list that grenades its own engine for $12,000 if you ignore a little rattle on a cold morning. Australians are pouring record money into new utes right now, and a lot of them are quietly regretting it. So today I'm counting down the 15 utes I watch people regret buying most, ranked from mildly annoying all the way to flat out catastrophic. And number one, the ute half this country swears is bulletproof, might be parked in your driveway right now. I'm Greg. I'm 53, 30 odd years with utes up on my hoist, watching which ones come back and which ones don't. No dealer pays me, no sponsor, no badge I'm loyal to, which is exactly why I can put a Toyota at number one and a Ford near the top of this list and not lose a wink of sleep over it. Let's count them down. Number 15, the Ford Ranger. And before the comments catch fire, hear me out, because I'm not calling the Ranger a bad ute. It's the best-selling thing on the road for a reason. It's on here for one reason only. People buy a brand new one, assuming new means faultless, and it isn't. Ford has recalled nearly 21,000 of the four-cylinder Rangers over a gearbox fault that can drop you out of drive, and another 13,500 of the V6s because a camshaft part can fracture and stall the engine. The regret isn't owning a Ranger. It's not checking whether yours has had its recalls done. Do that one thing, and it's still a ute I'd happily own. Get the letter, book it in, move on. Number 14, the Isuzu D-Max and its MUX twin. Same deal, genuinely one of the toughest diesels going, and I'll defend it all day. But here's the catch nobody budgets for. That 3-litre engine has no hydraulic lifters, which means the valve clearances need physically checking and adjusting, roughly at the big service intervals. It's a proper job, not a 5-minute one. Skip it for years and you'll eventually hear it. Add the usual short trip, DPF and EGR grumbles, and you've got an owner who's annoyed, not ruined. The regret here is buying reliable and assuming that means zero maintenance. It doesn't. Budget for the valve job and you'll love it. Number 13, the Mitsubishi Triton, the 2.4 diesel. Lovely cheap way into a dual cab, but that little engine runs a diesel particulate filter that hates short trips. Do nothing but school runs and Bunnings dashes, and it never gets hot enough to clean itself out. So you get the flashing light, the limp mode, and a trip to the dealer to force a regen. The fix is free and simple. Give it a good 20 to 30 minute highway run now and then. But the bloke who bought it purely to potter around the suburbs is the bloke who regrets it. Match it to a life with some open road in it. Number 12, the LDV T60. This is the value buy that's a genuine quality lottery. Some owners get a good one. Plenty report electrical gremlins, dead infotainment, rattles that show up in the first year, and there's documented rust history. In fact, LDV backs the body for 10 years against rust now, and you don't offer that unless rust was a real enough problem to need covering. It's a lot of ute for the money on paper. Just know you're rolling the dice on which one you get. Number 11, the GWM Cannon. Cheap to buy, and that's the whole trap. It's got the same short trip, DPF grief as the Triton. But the bigger regret is money. GWM's earlier Ute lost around 55% of its value in 5 years, more than 15 grand gone. And there's no reason to think the Cannon does much better. Plus, you're carrying the risk of long-term parts and brand support on a newcomer. You save a fortune walking in. You hand a good chunk of it back walking out. Number 10, the BYD Shark 6. Now this one's clever, and I don't hate it, but the regret is real and specific. It's a plug-in hybrid, which means it's only cheap to run if you religiously charge it every night. Charged, it'll sip 2 litres per 100. Let it go flat, and it's back near 8, and towing hard, the NRMA measured it up around 18 litres per 100. Thirsty. Worse, it only tows 2.5 tonne braked, a full tonne short of the diesels it's parked next to. So the fella who bought it to drag the caravan around Australia, he regrets it by the first big hill. Bought it as a plush daily, you plug in at home, happy as Larry. Now quick one before we get into the truly painful end of this list. If you want the exact 10-minute checklist I run over any used ute before I'd let a mate hand over a cent, the stuff that sniffs out these money pits before you buy, it's in my Honest Buyer's Guide. Scan the code on screen and it's yours, right? Where it starts getting expensive. Number 9, the Chevrolet Silverado. This is a case of biting off more truck than you can chew. It's nearly 6 metres long. Good luck in a shopping centre car park. It starts north of 134 grand. The official fuel figure is in the 12s, and the real world is worse. And here's the sting. There's no capped price servicing, so your maintenance bills are open-ended. People buy the dream of the big American truck and regret the reality of parking it, fueling it, and paying whatever the dealer feels like at service time. Number 8, the Ram 1500. And it's the same American money pit from a different angle. That Hemi Vor 8 drinks around 13.5 litres per 100, just cruising, and 17 to 19 towing, and you paid 109 grand or more for the privilege. It's a wonderful thing right up until the fuel bill and the depreciation both land in the same month. If your heart's set on one, buy it with your eyes open about what it costs to feed. Number 7, the Nissan Navara, the older D40. This is the first one that can genuinely destroy itself. That 2.5 diesel runs a weak single row timing chain that stretches over time. You'll hear it as a rattle on cold startup. Catch it early, and a chain job is $1,200 to $2,000. Ignore that rattle, and when the chain finally lets go, it takes the whole engine with it. That's a disaster costing more than $12,000 on a ute that might be worth $20,000. The regret here isn't buying it, it's not listening to it. I had a bloke bring one in a while back, lovely old Navara, and he'd been driving around for months with a rattle on cold start that he swore was just diesel noise. It wasn't. The chain had stretched so far, it was a whisker from jumping. And if it had, that whole engine was scrap. We caught it with days to spare. He got off light. A lot of blokes don't. If you own one, and it rattles for the first few seconds on a cold morning, get it looked at this week, not next month. Number 6, the Volkswagen Amarok. Honestly, the nicest of this bunch to actually drive, but it is a 5-figure gamble the day the warranty ends. I've seen an out-of-warranty engine repair on a 2016 quoted at around $13,000, and the warranty claim knocked back because the service history wasn't spotless. In warranty, it's a peach. Out of warranty, one big bill can cost you more than the Ute's worth. Buy one and guard that logbook with your life. Number 5, the SsangYong Musso, which now wears a KGM badge, and that name change is the whole story. SsangYong went through administration. The company that built your Ute effectively went broke and got bought and rebranded. Now, credit where it's due, it comes with a 7-year warranty, which is a genuine plus. But the regret is the nagging question of parts, dealer support and resale on a brand that's been on financial life support. You're not just buying a Ute, you're betting on the company still being here to look after it. Number 4, the Mahindra pickup. I actually want to like anything this simple and cheap, but I can't ignore the safety. The old model scored a woeful 6.6 out of 16 in the frontal crash test, and the current one has been left completely unrated by ANCAP since the start of 2023. It'll potter around a farm all day, and the drivetrain's tough, and to be fair, the resale isn't bad. But as the Ute that also does the school run and the highway trip with your family aboard, the regret, there doesn't bear thinking about. I wouldn't. Number 3, the Foton Tonneland, and this is the orphan of the list. Foton pulled the Tonneland out of Australia, so if you buy one, there's no factory dealer network behind you. You're keeping it alive on aftermarket parts. It might run fine for years, but the day you need something specific, you're on the phone to eBay, not a dealer. Buying a brand that's already left the country is a regret waiting for the right moment to show up. Number 2, the Jeep Gladiator. This is the depreciation horror story. Jeep sold just 169 Gladiators in this country in all of 2024, that's not a typo, and to shift them, they slashed the drive-away price by anywhere from 14 to 17 grand. Which is lovely if you're buying today, and brutal if you bought one at full price a year ago, because you've already watched that money evaporate. Add the well-known steering death wobble reputation from overseas, and you've got a Ute people regret the second they check what it's worth secondhand. And number 1, the Ute half of Australia will swear can't do any wrong. The Toyota Hilux, specifically the diesel ones built from 2015 to 2018. Here's the catastrophic bit, and it's not my opinion, it's a court's. Toyota lost a class action over the diesel particulate filter on these, more than 264,000 vehicles, ruled not of acceptable quality, with the court finding Toyota engaged in misleading conduct. The estimated bill runs to around $1 billion, and affected owners are in line for compensation. Let that sink in. The mighty Hilux, the Ute nobody questions, beaten in court over a known defect on 250,000 Utes. The regret isn't the badge, it's that specific window. If you want a diesel Hilux, buy the simple one from before 2015 or one from after 2020, and steer around those years unless you can prove it's been sorted. And I'll be straight with you, I still rate the Hilux. I've seen them do enormous kilometres. But that's exactly why it's number 1 and not number 9. Because when the Ute everybody trusts blind gets beaten in court over a defect on 250,000 vehicles, that's the biggest regret story of the lot, precisely because nobody saw it coming. That's how the untouchable Ute ends up at number 1. So there's your 15. From a Ranger that just needs its recalls done, all the way to a Hilux that lost in court. And here's the one rule that ties every single one of them together. A shiny new badge is not a guarantee of anything. The cheap ute is rarely the cheap ute. The reliable one still needs maintaining. And the biggest name in the country can still get beaten in a courtroom. So before you sign for any of them, check the recalls, get the full service history, and get a proper pre-purchase inspection. Do that, and you stay off a list like this one. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these have you actually owned? And did you regret it, or did I get one wrong? And tell me the one you'd never touch again as long as you live. Get it in the comments. I read every single one and I'll answer what I can. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.